As you may have seen, there is a major shift in the mobile app ecosystem. Apple is now required to let developers include external payment links in their apps, and they are not allowed to take a commission on those off app transactions. So, this change, which stems from the very long running Epic Games versus Apple lawsuit, opens the door for more revenue and more freedom, but it also works as a double edged sword because it also introduces real challenges like compliance, attribution, user experience, and even product design. So, today we are going to explore what this means for app businesses, what's working, what's risky, and how can tools like Conversion help developers navigate this new reality. Um, I'm joined by Sam, our CEO here at Conversion, and two fantastic founders who are deep in the mobile world. Vitaly, CEO of Moonly, a moon calendar and wellness app, and Alexander, co-founder of Yeda, an AI-powered nutrition assistant. Uh, Before we dive in, Sam, I would like to give you the floor to say a few words about our today's guests and about Conversion.
Yeah, thanks, Nick, and thanks, Guy, for joining us today on this kind of short notice. Really, we did just for a few days, and I've known Alex Science way back in 2016. It's the earliest day of subscription industry, so Apple began to work with subscription in 2013, 2015, and since 2016, 2017, we started involved in the subscription apps in various forms. And Alex previously worked at Badoo, and which has been acquired with Bumble. And Vitaly is CEO and co-founder of Moonly, which is a really beautiful designed customer app. And I think that's important that we have founders who really care customers' experience, and we can have a talk in this, and not only about the additional percentage we can add to our revenue and cut tax on Apple side, but also we can consider how it will affect customer experience for long term. So thanks, guys, for joining, and if you wish, feel free to introduce yourself and add a few words.
Yeah, I'll start then. Yeah, I mean, I'm in mobile development since it was iOS 4, so I think a lot of years ago. Since the time I've been
years, yeah.
many startups that was doing mobile subscription. I had my own previous projects like Storyline and others. Some of them reached like more million or nearly million of IRR. So I'm kind of aware what happening in this industry, what happening through the time, and I'll be happy to share my opinion. But first to mention, I'm mostly a product person, so I will try to defend the side of product of this decision. I mean, I'm also in a business, so I will accept like how it's impacting business, but at the same time, I will be on the other side of a discussion, I guess.
I just looked up when iOS 4 was announced, and it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a long time ago.
That's exactly the time that when I started my career in B2C apps. I started in around 2013 with my first company, Hello Baby. We made products for pregnancy and parenthood. Then I launched a gaming company. Actually, I made many companies in B2C. I really love B2C. That's my sweet spot and my top expertise. And yeah, it's a huge movement. And some of my companies failed. Some of my companies made millions of IRR. But anyway, we always work only with native payments on platforms. We made some experiments like for some countries, but nothing more because from my experience, external payments ruined conversions. But as I know, in top and best benchmarks, we can find that it can just cut 20% of conversion but I didn't get this result anytime. I always had experience when this experiments with conversion, so I didn't dig in this too much.
Let's jump to the two main benefits which this changes. That's Apple taxes and the ability to reduce the tax, and the another one is churn rate. So when you connect a third-party payment provider, that's on your end, fully manage subscriptions, and I think that's quite important to start from these topics because, as I mentioned it, Alex is fully product guy, and really you build fantastically well-designed user products. So everyone just try that, and that's really beautiful. And I guess for you guys, it's quite important to have smooth and good user experience inside app instead of some kind of scam and make it difficult for any customer to cancel on subscription and what will be used for a lot of other. And in the beginning of this change, and what do you think regarding this part, and how we can from one part reduce the taxes, but also keep that flexible for end customer to manage subscriptions and to work with that and so on. I will add a few points from my perspective, but I want to hear your points of view.
I can start. So from my perspective, I think it's a good strategy to wait for 1 month at least, and wait until big players will test this new approach, because nobody knows how Apple will behave with this. Usually, from previous experience, they are very tricky with payments. We all know that they never allow developers to avoid these payments even after calls. So I think it will be tricky, but I really want to test it on some in some safe space. For instance, we will start if they will not appeal. There are some rumors that Apple already filed an appeal to this decision. We will wait for 1 month in Monday, and recently we launched the AI assistant, which is your AI astrologer, psychologist, and so on. And we are going to launch it for all audience very soon. And I think for this type of product, it's add-on. It's not main product. It's not subscription. It's add-on. You can buy tokens for these conversations. I think for this add-on, we can try Apple Pay or something like this a little bit later. After someone will show, someone big will show the example, because it's a bad game to be the first and to be aggressive in this, because Apple is very attentive to these cases, to payments. For instance, I know many big apps who I'm talking with who had problems with even web payments, because companies who have big amount of web payments, what's the problem? People buy a subscription on the web, then go to the app, and then it's hard to cancel the subscription, and they can't find sometimes, even it's obvious how to cancel it. It's harder than native subscription, right? So some people can't find the option to cancel the subscription, and they start to write claims to Apple, and Apple have to manage this, and they totally don't like it, and they sometimes they even deleting apps because of this. So technically, you are right. You made everything by guidelines. You're accepting payments on the web, not on Apple, but you're accepting dramatic amounts of payments for the Apple product that is listed in Apple Store, and Apple Store has problems because of you. So technically, they can do something with this. So I don't know. It's for us, it's a best strategy to wait some time, at least 1 month.
Thank you. Yeah, I will continue Vitalik's point because I remember in 2018, 19, and 19, I guess, 17, 18, 19, there was a huge growth of app in App Store who was like selling user some feature, obviously not giving it inside app, but was focus of these apps was like just to subscribe user. And a lot of user was deleting their app, thinking that subscription will be canceled, but it doesn't happen. So back then, I think in 2019, Apple introduced this kind of feature. When you delete app, Apple will tell you, oh, you still have active subscription. And somehow it's changed market a lot. I remember the time because one of my app using subscription was on the market during that time. So I really saw how market started to be changed. So it's clearly seen that if users don't have easy access to subscription management, or if they think that they can delete app and it will unsubscribe them, and then there's web payment coming and like Stripe telling that user need to contact business directly through email to cancel their subscription. It's getting us back to the game. And like from product perspective, I wasn't happy what was happening in 2019 because it was a time when I would say marketing and huge budgets was running the game. You don't need to build a good product. You just need to acquire a lot of users. And fortunately, Apple changed it a lot since that time. Apple introduced a lot of methods to unsubscribe. Apple introduced Apple Search Ads, so you could drive traffic directly to the app, not to web pages and so on. And like from product-wise, I'm feeling that it's kind of step back. But at the same time, I hope that like we know all this experience, Apple knows this experience, market knows this experience. So either Apple will be able to appeal it and we will get back to Apple approach, or Apple will introduce some mechanics in a way that even if you subscribe through a web page, they will force applications and developers to attach to their way of unsubscription. And this way, it would be super healthy because it would bring competition. Apple may reduce their commission, or like there would be a ways to not to pay Apple everything. And at the same time, market will still be healthy. But like, again, as Vitalik mentioned, I think it's better to wait and see how it will goes. So like, we don't know. Right now, I see because of this kind of court and of decisions, there is a couple of steps back happening on US market.
You mentioned the commission point, and I actually wanted to ask a question like about cost savings and the math behind it. Like from a revenue standpoint, how significant is the difference between Apple's 30% commission and the like 3 to 7% you might pay with third-party providers?
It can be very different because nobody can answer what will be the decline of conversion in your particular product. It may vary dramatically from 20% to 90%. You should try, so nobody can ask.
I think interesting question would be how user will react to this paywall, because obviously like you could save a lot. I mean, there's another part of this discussion is small businesses, because like as indie developers, as some application who doesn't reach million of proceeds per year, you don't paying 30%, you're paying 15%, which even some kind of advantage for early starters, because if you go to some competitive market and there's some big players earning millions of dollars, you know that you could be 15% not as performance as they are, at least for new subscribers, not for old one. And now this gap like just gets removed, so everyone is equal. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it may be harder for like indie developers or developers with smaller budgets to start playing. But for me, the question is how user will react to this paywall. Like if you will present web paywall, will they trust it? Like how easy it would be used, for example, Apple Pay, because Apple's paywall is easy in a way that like people don't enter their credit cards, they just like press pay and that's it. Apple Pay behaves similar way, but like Stripe payment, if you don't use Apple Pay but user need to insert credit card directly, may reduces conversion, and this may like lead to even smaller earning by businesses. But first, it's matter of time. So it would be iterations on this payment page. It would be maybe some actions from the Stripe. Maybe they would kind of introduce shared payment system through all these apps and so on.
I just want to add a few words regarding small business program. From my perspective, for those who use a small business program, there isn't any reason to switch for third-party services because you need to manage on your end these parts. So this kind of you need to manage on your side chargebacks, you need to manage tax, and based on our analysis, it will take you maybe 10-15% from your revenue, which makes sense. It's better to pay Apple 15% and forget about all these stuff and focus on your product in the beginning until you reach 1 million ARR, rather than focusing on those things. But if you consider to grow fast and 1 million ARR is just a small milestone for you in the beginning, maybe it's better to set up all this infrastructure from the beginning. I mean, some kind of chargeback system, third-party integration system, infrastructure, and so on. But another benefit we forgot about, it's user privacy. And because with web-to-app and with third-party systems, you can use some kind of URLs to attribute your customer better, because Apple protect customers, and all this stuff with Scan, which they released a few years ago. So I agree with Alex that for markets right now it's some kind of turbulent period, and with Vitaly it's better to wait a few months until all this stuff stabilized. But I guess everything changed, and even if Apple will win appeal, they will need to do something to acquire and to keep customers and to keep developers with them. So what do you think in terms of Apple Small Business Program versus third-party systems from current perspective?
I think, as I mentioned, for me, it's more not about commission and this like 15 or more % you could save, but more about churn rate and what is the way to cancel subscription. Because like subscription is super tricky, even in the healthiest business like Netflix or Spotify, there is a lot of users who don't use service anymore or use it very rarely, but still paying full price, even sometimes not realizing it. And I mean, if third-party payment will change anything regarding this stage of unsubscription, it will be maybe harder, or okay, it's still easy, you could still manage it in settings, but you will not get banner about unsubscribe when deleting app. These numbers may be much bigger than just commission, and it's super depend on the business who retain users well, for them there shouldn't be a big difference. Businesses who has like 1 or less % of retention after months for paying users, for them it could be a big deal, but at the same time I'm not seeing this is super healthy.
Plus, I'm betting Apple will respond with some tricky mechanics. I'm pretty sure they will respond with something like very strict guidelines, what you should do to make this happen, to use these external payments. For instance, they can make strict guidelines for unsubscription, or they even can prohibit Apple Pay, for instance, for these payments. It will be very tricky, but very effective move, because Apple Pay is the only way I can believe it can work the same or maybe close to your original conversions with Apple Pay. But when you ask users to type in credit card, I don't believe it will work. It works dramatically worse. So only Apple Pay can help you to get seamless transition. But if they prohibit Apple Pay, it's not gonna work at all.
There is a system like Link by Stripe, where you once enter your credential and can use that later. So it works the same way as Apple Pay for customer experience. And in addition to that, even if your commission will be conversion rate will be lower, because of the fact you acquire customer acquisition cost is less, you can that's still affordable for you.
Mhm.
So I guess that's how it works.
But anyway, it's a brand new challenge for designers and developers uh, to keep your conversion not too low as before. Anyway, it's a challenge. You have to make tens or hundreds of tests to make people believe your payment system is not a scam. And I think we have wait not only for precedent from big players to integrate this, but also you have to wait until people's reaction will be normal for this, until people will behave to pay with external payments. When it will be normal for most people, it can work. Now, I think not.
What I also think, if this process will work, then like players like Stripe should simplify infrastructure for developers, because right now a lot of apps like can keep only native solution for payments, don't have any other backends, don't like work with any legal work. And like obviously if you start using third-party providers like Stripe right now, it's require these developers and businesses to have a lot of additional resources spent on all these things. I think Sam mentioned already, like taxes, for example. And this will force players like Stripe or like payment analytics service like Qonversion, I guess, integrate more and more developer-friendly tools to have it in ecosystem.
Can we go back to the taxes subject for a second? Like, uh, what is it like the biggest problem? The biggest problem with managing taxes with off-app billing?
The biggest problem that end developer should think about that. With Apple, you don't care about tax, and Apple manage that fully on their end. But all these situation happened around US and US market, and tax there is specific for every states, and developer need to manage that. And the tools like Stripe, I don't know actually Stripe provide these tools to manage tax or not, but even if they provided some kind of additional add-on for you, and it will cost you a few percent of your revenue. And other services like Paddle and Recurly, they also cost you more than 5% from your recurring revenue. So anyway, you need to care about taxes and feel that. Again, from my perspective, that is not what I want to focus on in the beginning when I build a company, build a project. I want to focus on the product and provide some additional value to my end customers and so on.
I think worth to mention that even this is something new happening to apps. There's huge market of web to app approach when like big companies, and I think not only big companies, buying traffic in performance advertisement like in Instagram, Facebook, Google, and but like redirect not directly into app installation, but into web page. They usually even have onboarding or quizzes integrated there, then take money there, and only after it they make user install application. So, and for some players, I wouldn't mention names, but it's 95% of the revenue. And this players has more than like hundreds of millions dollars IRR per year. So it means that it's opens, like they already have some experience how it works. They already have all these funnels set up. So I guess they can start to re-implement this experience inside apps now.
Alex,
And
you also, sorry.
yes, sorry, yeah, and it's open for them huge advertisement platform with search ads, because search ads drives user directly to the application. You cannot show web page inside search ads, Apple search ads inside the App Store. It drives directly through the app. So it means they can start now using this platform, at least in States, and continue their kind of working funnels inside.
I've got like a pretty general question, I guess. Alex, you also mentioned that like 5 or 6 years ago, uh, like there happened something of a similar magnitude when like when you delete an app, there was like some issues, you know. So my question is like, uh, how long do you think it will take before like the dust settles? Like when you know uh, how to like how to move forward.
First of all, I remember my favorite example. There was a wave, I think it's the beginning of 2019, because there still was a lot of Touch ID. And there was apps and they're earning a lot. Even Apple tried to remove them. When they tell we would read your like destiny by your finger, user was tapping on Touch ID. And that time there was a like paywall appeared and the user like was touching this Touch ID, get charged.
Top level scam, yeah.
Yeah, like, but I remember it was a huge amount of such apps. I mean, Apple cannot.
They didn't delete it for many years. I remember this.
Yeah. I mean, and I know there was a lot of hacks in the way that there was deep links in Facebook. So, like, if you download it from App Store, it wouldn't appear this way. So, if Apple would try to review this app, they will not even from App Store, not in review process, they will still not see the same flow that user was seeing. So, like, it was crazy times. And again, the reason why it was working, a lot of these schemes, because it was like user tried, user don't like, user delete app, but they start to get charged. And even banking system, I don't know how it's these days in States because I live in UK, but like banking system not helping users to realize they have subscriptions that get charged or whatever, because banking systems were still old. I mean, nowadays there's some new companies like Revolut, which is amazing, and they helping user to see all their transactions. But still, I guess there's a lot of old style banks. So if user will get the subscription, will delete app and never use again, it may take years to them to realize they're paying for something.
So I guess like the answer is that we need to wait to see like how the whole situation will unveil, right?
And I don't trust that user like will realize it quite fast, because like for user, like first of all, there's always new users. There's a lot of old users which like entering some markets, like whatever it's AI or whatever, years after, and they have old patterns. So I guess the situation can be only resolved if big players like Apple or whatever or Stripe will start to take any actions on it.
So I agree with absolutely is that services and tools like Qonversion or something else, everyone should provide as flexible infrastructure as they can. But the benefit of this change is that developer going to be more flexible, and that's the win for developers. And even if we know that Apple protect customers, but also we know that sometimes Apple doesn't care about developers, and tools like Xcode somehow works not in the best way. Apple App Stores can work not so good. And so and competition in this area, it's good for developers as well. And in long term, I guess we're gonna see how a system like Apple and payment provider we gonna provide this kind of good customer experience. And customer here is developer, sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think also like even small business program, which is now very powerful and protecting the developers, appeared by some kind of court, and it was pushed to Apple. So I guess like cases like this one, like push big companies who are satisfied with everything how that is on the market. They have additional motivation to provide better environment for developers, better tools, reduce commission, and so on. So I guess it still like could be a good win for the market.
Anyway, there is some kind of FOMO point here that every founder tried to handle this wave of change and try to do something right here and right now. And I really like this point of view to keep calm and just wait a little bit and wait until it's gonna be more clear. And in long term, if you create your product focusing on customer experience and just do your experiments with acquisition, the market will change in a bad way for you, I guess. So in the moment, you may think, oh, I will earn more money, but that doesn't work in that way, I guess. When the information available for everyone, so it doesn't cost anything for you. So right now, if so, it's better wait, yeah. And
I also want to mention that Apple compared to Google has a huge revenue from App Store, and like if you open graph of their like kind of revenue, obviously iPhones is the biggest one, but then there's also operational costs, there's production costs, and the only department in Apple that has super small operation production costs is services. So if you would if you would do some math on Apple's revenue in any quarter in the last years, you will find out that half of their money is getting from services. They don't show what is services. It's Apple Music, iCloud, or App Store, but I can bet that like App Store is the biggest amount of money they're earning in services thing. So like in case they will lose this battle anywhere, like the revenue will drop dramatically. So this is what they cannot afford. I guess investors will not be happy. So like I think Apple will fight for it as much as they could.
Of course. And there's a fun fact that independent group of developers filed a class action complaint to get back previously paid commissions. We'll see how it's going.
Guys, another point here is that maybe all these fights between Apple and big players on the market, like Spotify and Epic Games, it's not about apps who earn even 10 million ARR. Yeah, that's about Spotify who want to keep this 25% in-house. And I think by the end of the day, all these, everything will stay in the same way for developer, except the fact that developer experience is gonna be better. So that's why Spotify just released an update just after a few hours after this court decision.
Like for Spotify, it was even like live their situation because they stopped having Apple payments long time ago, because otherwise they will not be able to compete Apple Music, because most of their money goes as a royalty to like Universal Music and other huge I don't remember how it's called, but like these music labels. So like they cannot afford paying any percent of commissions to anyone before. So like that's why all subscription was happening through web page without redirecting from App Store, and obviously it was problem for traffic acquisition for them. So like for them it's like huge deal.
Another point here is Spotify paid for two direct competitor, Apple Music. So yeah, sure, that's different units, but they're the same company, and the same thing for Netflix. So you pay 30% to your direct competitor, and they will use this money to build more movies and compete you. That's quite strange for them. That's why they removed Apple Pay and Apple App Store at all.
Yeah. But like always, my personal mantra is to keep focus on our revenues, not on fees. 30% is huge commission, but if you're thinking about this too much, you can lose your game focusing on this.
Do you think Apple's control will loosen over time? Like they lost this deal, right? I mean, like this lawsuit. Uh, so like will their control over users loosen in the long term?
I think yes, in the long term, it will less control, um, but not fast.
I guess good example here is how they introduce ADFA restrictions, and then they introduce their own advertisement platform, and they're growing it fast. So even if they're losing, this is gain somewhere, and like they was forced to introduce a small business and so on, they're still trying to getting back this control through other approaches. So like just a question of their innovations.
That's absolutely fantastic time for services like Stripe, and for those who can manage all this stuff on their end. And I guess, as guys mentioned in the chat, Stripe can provide system to manage tax, optimize all this routine, but they're still not merchant of record like Apple. But sure, there isn't some service on the market to manage that as well. And but it's gonna be cost you something anyway. You will need to pay.
I think there's also like situation for developers that if they're like only native developers, that they still need to build kind of paywall that available on a website, because otherwise it would be more clicks which will drop conversion. So probably there would be services who will help you to replicate your native paywall easily. Nowadays it's becoming easier with all these AI technologies. Figma introduced 2 days ago that they will give designers and developers ability to convert wireframes into real working apps and web pages. So this is kind of approach, I guess, a lot of providers who will help developers do these payments should or would implement. And again, like there's some teams who don't know how to do web development and they don't want to spend time, or there's some old style apps where there's no developers anymore, and they're just on some sustainable marketing model where they have team who drives traffic, but no one supports app anymore. So like this would be interesting part.
Mhm. Let me add some native ad advertising here about our no-code system, because we build the same thing here. Just have a one. So what we allow, you build your no-code paywall, and that's fully available inside the app, but we allow you to switch your provider in real time. So let's say you can do that like Spotify did just after this court decision. You could switch provider and proceed or your purchases via Stripe, and then let's say Apple win appeal, and you can switch back to native provider. And all this stuff works in no-code way. That's really no-code builder and no-code paywall. So that's I guess how it will work in the future for developers. They will be flexible and will be able to manage that just by a few clicks. And that's why I think all this stuff quite beneficial for the industry. And so if that's beneficial for industry, we're going to see more products and more apps and better user experience and so on.
Have you finished, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to answer just the last question in chat because it's quite easy. Yes, this is only affecting US, so it was court decision happening in US market. Like it's quite easy. They just told that Apple cannot prohibit links to any third-party payment systems, and Apple cannot take commissions or enable any entitlements there. So technically, it's even like not very well-designed approach. They just allowed. You can have buttons, and whatever happened there, it's not anyone's problem. But yeah, it's only on the US market.
Yes.
I don't see any other questions, but in case, guys, if you have a question, please follow us and just write on sam@qonversion.io or just reply on the email you received, and we'll try to ask on all your question. And also we will introduce our Discord channel soon, and we'll be happy to continue this discussion there. And thanks for joining. So Nick, just move Nick to you.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I actually just wanted to ask one final question. Again, a pretty general one. So, what's one piece of advice you would give to developers right now, considering this new monetization landscape?
Like I mentioned before, I strongly recommend to focus on your revenues. And if this new reality comes, you will see it. It will be obvious, maybe in the summer. And you can align with it later, but don't think about this too much because it drains energy when you focus on all these third-party builders, payments providers. It drains energy and time. So it's always a good idea to make brilliant product first. Guys, sorry, I have to jump on another call. Thank you all so much. Hope it was helpful.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot, Vitaly.
Vitaly. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. I also want to answer one question from a chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like as I mentioned before, there is no any limits. Like you could have button to external web page. You could do whatever you want there. It could be one-time purchase. It could be subscription. It could be subscription with very crazy price. It could be even $1 million subscription per month, or it could be dynamic subscription today $1, next month $5, then $3. So there's no any rules, basically. And you just mentioned access. So right now the court decision is like this. How it will evolve, we'll see. And yeah, last suggestion. I think I agree with Vitaly. Like just try not to think much about it. It will take time for market to change, and especially if you have other countries where you're operating right now, or you don't drive too much new users right now, it should be fine.
All right. So huge thanks to all of you, Sam, Alexander. Thanks a lot for answering questions and for your insights. Yeah. So and thanks a lot to everyone who joined us today. See you next time. That's it.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.